Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of the Referrals Podcast here with Michael Maher. Michael, how are you today?
Doing awesome, brother. I tell you what, the feedback's been awesome. They like you. They like you. They're like, "Who's this Chris Angel right now?" Now they're rocking. They said number 3 was the best one because it was all about Chris Angel. It was like,
Nice.
it wasn't Chris Angel, the mind freak, right?
Yes,
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
It was Chris Angel, who we are. I think we got to come up with a nickname. All the viewers, I want you to send me a nickname, right? I want you to send me a nickname for Chris Angel. I think it might be Chris the Guardian Angel, right? Come on.
I've heard them all. I've heard them all.
You've heard them all, right?
Yeah.
The Archangel, right? The Archangel.
Yes. I will ride that momentum as long as I can have it.
Totally.
So.
And you got 2 L's, right?
Yes.
It's like you're not just Angel with an L. You've got 2 L's. It's like even better.
I know, right? That's good.
Very
awesome.
unique.
Well, today we're talking. Listen, episode 4 is communication pyramid. This is like at the heart of. I have your book from like your jacket cover's different now, but this is like I got this.
Oh my gosh! You put yours up. Look at this. Old.
Yeah.
New. Old.
Yes.
New. Original. Right. First edition.
Yes.
Right. 17th edition. 17th.
Wow.
Now check
Really?
your pages. How many pages do you have?
Is that really?
How many pages do you have in yours?
Let's see.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The last.
You know what? All by referral.
169.
Yeah.
The last page is 160, 170 probably. Yeah.
All right. 176. Right.
Wow.
So over time, we've tweaked it. We've added to it. We made it better. The glossary is 1,000 times better in this one than it was in that one. But
awesome.
Anyway, so it's grown over time, just like I have. So.
Well, and what's cool is like
amazing.
this is the heart of today's conversation is the pyramid, like the communication pyramid.
Yeah. Look at that. Bang. Look at that.
Bang.
Yeah. So right in the beginning, we're going to just disclose, right?
Yeah.
This is your download for the day right here. You're going to get a graphic for your office. This one goes in my office. Hence.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you one just like this. It's the communication pyramid with the impact arrow, with the informational zone and the influential zone marked. Nice. And it's a nice little graphic. I put it on some super thick paper, and I have it right up in my office every day, so that I don't screw it up. So some days I get lost in the informational zone, and I know I'm wasting my time, and I know I need to be in the influential zone because I'm an influencer just like you are, and just like all of our listeners are. They need to be in the influential zone more often. In fact, 80% of your time should be in the influential zone. So
if you guys want that, go to referralspodcast.com. Referrals, plural, referrals, because we don't want one referral, as we said.
That's right.
We want referralspodcast.com, and you guys can get that download to print off and put in your office. I love it. Okay, well, listen, let's dive in, Michael. This is so cool. I get to pick your brain about it. Just start with the pyramid. Like, tell us about the communication pyramid.
Okay. All right. So I'll put the graphic back up, right? And it's just like, I think the big thing here is that we know that the bottom level of the 7 levels is advertising. The lowest level of business communication is advertising. And that makes a ton of sense, right? We spend money on the advertising, and who knows who sees it, when they see it, if they see it. You know, there was an old comment is like, I know that 50% of my marketing or my advertising works. I'm just not sure which 50%, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's the problem is that you don't know. And the thing is maybe the advertising worked, maybe it didn't. And there's a lot of blog posts and a lot of things about, you know what, advertising is dead. Now, obviously advertising is not dead. Listen, people think, oh, you hate advertising. And it's like, man, my MBA is in marketing and communications. I love advertising. When it works and when it doesn't interfere or intrude or is belligerent, right? I mean, here's the thing. Google would not be in business without advertising. Facebook would not be $1 billion+ company without advertising, right? And it's like, how do they make money? It was so funny is Zuckerberg was in front of Congress and they were talking about the privacy, things like that. And they were just talking about that, Facebook's probably going to go out of business, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, how do you make any money?
Yeah.
And Zuckerberg just goes, advertising.
Yeah.
Or he said, we advertise. And it's like, boom, right? So they make money on advertising. And I've actually heard of people clicking on the Facebook ads and buying stuff, right? So it is what it is. But the problem with advertising, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to track. So advertising is the lowest level of communication. It doesn't mean it's not a level. It doesn't mean it's not, you shouldn't do it. Maybe you should do it. Maybe it makes sense, right?
I think
then we've got,
Well, I was going to say, I think, your message is so much about relationship-based approach to business that for your tribe, for the people who really want this content, they want to know, how do I actually make a connection? It's very hard to create the kind of connection that we're seeking as influencers through advertising. You can try to get it, but you're not going to get it the same way you get it as you teach in the 7 levels in communication, right? So
that's right. And a lot of the media magazine, the newspaper advertising, right? I mean, it's definitely gone way down, and especially in effectiveness. It's where are the eyeballs, right? And the eyeballs are on Facebook and Google now. So, that would make sense. The advertising world has moved from that to this, but advertising on Facebook is different than the old newspaper advertising and the magazine article advertising, things like that. So, but advertising, it is a thing, right? It can be effective. The problem is there's too many companies doing advertising wrong. So it's a waste of money. It's just flat out throwing money away. Here's the other thing, right? This show is about being referable, right? Being a more referable person and building a referable business, right? You claim you have high quality service, you deliver quality service. I'm going to say, how many referrals do you get? Right? If you really deliver quality service, then you should have a trackable metric. And I believe the number one most trackable metric and the most important metric to track is referrals, right? Well, advertising, it's like really hard to track. It's really hard to track for referrals. And did they come to me because of an ad, or did they come to me because of a person or recommendation? And so it's hard to track. But I will tell you that if you have a referable business, if you're already getting referrals, you're tracking referrals, and your loyalty is high, you have brand ambassadors out there, the advertising can actually be like a little bit of gasoline for your brand ambassadors and your loyal. But I'd say let's start at the top of the pyramid. Don't start at the bottom, which is too many people start at the bottom, right?
Yeah, it's good.
So that's advertising, right?
That's perfect. Take me up the pyramid here. What's the next one?
Yeah, so direct mail, right? Direct mail makes more sense. It can be targeted. It goes to their mailbox, so there's typically less competition there than the fact that advertising. You've got an ad, and then the very next thing they see is an ad from a competitor a lot of times. And then, but with direct mail, it goes directly to them. You can target it. You can address it directly to them. If you are good at direct mail, it can be very powerful. One thing I always tell people with their handwritten notes that we've taken from the direct mail world. I've studied the best advertising in the world, right? I've studied the best direct mail in the world. And we've taken some of the finer points of the direct response marketing and direct mail world and incorporated them into the handwritten note. One of those is I always suggest that you write your handwritten notes and do your invitations for the events in colored envelopes, right? Colored envelope. I mean, what are most of the envelopes you get are white. And then all of a sudden you get a colored envelope and it's noticeable. And it, of course it's handwritten on a handwritten note. They're going to open it. So we took that from how the direct marketers were getting their mail looked at. But the open rate on direct mail is less than 0.5%, right? Right. And people open their or go through their mail next to their trash can, right? And today's millennial, isn't just they do more than just throw it away, right? That they're big into conservation. So when you send it, they basically think you're killing trees by sending direct mail. Yeah. So they will put, there's like stopjunkmail.com. And basically they will look at your company as they won't use you, right? They won't use your services or buy your products. They will rebel simply because you direct mailed them. So in certain aspects, it can shoot yourself in the foot a little bit. At the very most, it's very expensive. Where it does make some sense is sometimes in the higher end world, where the ticket item is bigger with cars, houses, big remodels, things like that. For the mom and pop shop, who's a small business owner listening to this, listen, direct mail probably doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I mean, we've done it all. I mean, we have helped everybody from the solopreneur who's got a little, water purification system, right? All the way up to Fortune 500 companies. And, direct mail is kind of on the challenge right now, and that people are not doing it as much because direct mail has been replaced by electronic communication in a lot of cases. Instead of targeting by mailing address, which is expensive, it could get lost, it needs a stamp, it's got to rely on the USPS, right? Yeah. With Facebook advertising, you develop your target market and you can market to them directly where they're looking every single day, which is on Facebook, right? Yeah. But direct mail has some strengths. Like I said, for the upper bracket stuff, it works, especially around successes in a neighborhood like a just listed or just sold. Direct mail for farming a neighborhood makes sense, from a real estate perspective. Sure. Or a car, right? Luxury neighborhoods, and you're selling Lexuses or Mercedes. It makes some sense there. But it definitely waning. It definitely is waning.
I like it. Okay. Next one. Take me up.
Yeah. So, we're talking electronic communication here, and we're still in the blue zone. We're still in the cold zone. Yeah. Electronic communication is emailing and text, right? Yeah. And somewhat Facebook messaging, anything that's electronic communication, right? Yeah. They're seeing it on their phone or they're seeing it on their computer, is electronic communication. Now, these three levels of advertising, direct mail, and electronic communication are what we call the informational zone, right? They're good for informing or confirming, but they're not good for selling, convincing, or influencing, right? So they're good for informing, and sometimes we do need to inform. But electronic communication, the problem with email is, first of all, if you're sending a mass amount of emails, then you're going to be dubbed a spammer. You're going to be blocked. I mean, what are all these browsers and what are all these email companies doing right now? Is they're trying to figure out a way to block more emails, right? And they're putting people on the blacklist of you can't email out anymore. And it's just like email, but people have made money by email. They've made money by these double opt-in lists, which is different, right? So you can make money through email. You can, nice thing is you can send one message to 100,000 people, right? Very quickly. Yep. But the problem with email is that you can, let's say your relationship is a 5 out of 10, right? There's 0, which is somebody you've never met. 1, you don't like each other very well. 5 is just kind of a medium casual relationship. And a 10 is a brand ambassador, right? Somebody that is spreading the word and speaking highly of you and referring you. Well, if you have somebody that's a 5 or 6, it's easier to take that 5 to a 0 with an email than it is to take that 5 to a 6 with an email, right? You send the wrong email to the wrong person on the wrong day, and they're going to unsubscribe. And they don't just unsubscribe from your list, they unsubscribe from your life, right? Yeah. Which is not what you want them to do. You want them to love you and like you and spread the word about you. So, and I will tell you that we have a weekly wow that we send out every week, which is like a helpful hint or a tip about generating referrals or repeat business or customer service. And we are very, very protective. We have a meeting every week about what we're sending, right? So we're not just throwing crap out and hoping. And we're not in the whole like, oh, such and such has a new product they're launching. Well, we're going to bombard our list 1,000 times with their product launch. We don't do that. We protect. It's our community. And the thing is I've met, shaken hands with, high-fived, hugged, or fist bumped every single person that is on our list. Maybe out of 100,000 plus, it's probably, maybe there's 5,000 I haven't met because they just signed up through the internet or whatever.
Sure.
But I've met them, right? I there's a relationship there. And I mean, it's like, I don't want them to unsubscribe, right?
So to play devil's advocate, it's not that you're saying that, it's not that you're saying that they don't work, because you've used them and you use them in the ways that you feel are appropriate for the result you're trying to produce. But I think that's the difference, is that a lot of people get wound up in the tool and then they just think that they abandon everything else, and relationship included, to use the tool. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have to remember, an email and a text. Email is only the promise of a future phone call, right? Text message is only the promise of a future phone call, right? So we need to realize that electronic communication, if there's no promise of a future something in the influential zone, phone call, event, or one-on-one, then it will decay the relationship, right? But if we're using email and text message in a way, they either know for sure that there's going to be a future event, one-on-one or phone call, or we use text message with the thought of there's going to be another interaction. There's going to be something down the road. If we're not using it that way, then we're gonna have a decay in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's just email after email after email. It just says you don't care. It's all automated, right? There's this whole thing about thought, right? The more people think you thought about it, the more powerful it is, right? Yeah. And with email, we just, there isn't a ton of thought. Yeah, we can personalize it nowadays. We can put their name in the subject line. We can put emojis in the subject line to make it look. But you know what doesn't work in today's world is mass or bulk, right? So if we're sending mass emails or bulk, then it's not going to work. What the consumer wants today is personalization and customization. They want to know you care, right? They want to know you give a crap.
Yeah.
And so, so you got to do that through electronic communication. And one of the things about electronic communication that we have found is they want inspirational stuff. They don't want to be sold, right? But they want to buy. So it's okay in the PS to have something that, hey, listen, if you're more interested in this, let's do a call, right? Which is what we do a lot. Or if you're interested in this and you want a free month of coaching, then reach out. We'll give you a free month of coaching on this and see how it goes, right? If the free month of coaching goes well, then maybe you'll want to do coaching with us in the long run. And maybe this is all you need is a free month of coaching, and we're here to help, right?
Yeah.
So there's that philosophy, and, but I've seen it where, man, there's some of these internet marketers. Basically what I did is I took like different people that I know that are doing internet marketing, and I was like, I'm going to check and see how many emails I got from this guy. I got 108 in 30 days.
What?
108 emails.
That's absurd.
Yeah, I was going to share my screen, but then I would realize that everybody would know the two people that I'm talking about. So, I don't need to disclose that. Everybody's unsubscribing from them anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that's the informational zone. It's good for informing, right? Email is great for confirming. Text message, hey, I'm going to be there, right? But it really needs to be the promise of a future phone call or a future event. And what I mean by a future event, people are wondering, is email is a great way to invite people to an event,
Mm.
right? Or a party. Email is, Evite is a great site. Eventbrite, paperless post, right? Email is a great, kind of low impact way for people to do save the date, right? But the thing is, you will not get people unsubscribing if they're getting an invite to a party or to an event, right? You're just not.
Yeah.
But notice that's the promise of a future, more powerful, more impactful communication.
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
Which leads us to the middle one, right? Which is handwritten notes. Handwritten notes, we're getting into the green zone. The best follow-up is a handwritten note. Handwritten note, you're just like, man, it's like handwritten notes gets its own level. And it's like,
right.
Yes, it does. It does. It's amazing. 2,000 books, right? I don't know, 20,000 hours maybe, is all consolidated in one picture here, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So handwritten notes are very, very, very powerful. In fact, anytime you're thinking about sending a direct mail piece, think to yourself, could I send a handwritten note instead? Right? And the handwritten note is going to be far more powerful. I believe, all this is my opinion, right?
Sure.
I believe that the highest form of asynchronous communication, which asynchronous just means that you send it, they get it whenever they want, right? So a text message, you send it, you don't know when they get it, right? Email is, asynchronous. You send it, maybe they get it, maybe they don't. Right. Advertising, asynchronous. Direct mail, asynchronous, right? The highest form of asynchronous communication is a handwritten note. It just is. When's the last time you got a handwritten note?
It's hard to remember.
Yeah.
I know I've gotten one in the last couple months, but it was like, I can't remember who sent it. It's just been a while. It doesn't happen often.
Yeah. So how many do you think you've gotten this year?
Oh, maybe 2. I know I've
2.
got the one. Yeah. And I'm guessing I probably had one other.
And here's the thing that people need to know is you network at the highest level with very relational people, right? Yeah. So isn't that amazing, right? So it's one of those where, and by the way, we're building our relationship. You haven't even gotten mine yet, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right. So, but trust me, are you sure?
Yeah. I haven't checked the mail today. It's Saturday, but.
Okay. Well, we'll have to check that because now, did you get a gift from us?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh.
I like
All
gifts. Right. I like gifts. So.
Well, that's good because we sent it to your friend. We sent it to someone else. So Mind Freak is over there like totally wondering what this thing is. It's like, who sent me flowers? It's like Mind Freak. It's like, oh my God.
That's so
anyway, we better Mandy, note to Mandy. We need to make sure that we check.
Well, and now you've got the promise of a future. Like now I've got something out in my future. Congratulations.
Yeah, but I have to tell you now that the whole surprise, the whole element of a handwritten note is gone. Right now, you're expecting it. Right.
Oh,
the beauty of a handwritten note is that it's totally a surprise. Right. And there's this power. I keep going back to his thought plus action. Right. Yeah, the power of a handwritten note is somebody was thinking about you. When you were not in the same space, but not only did they think of you, they took action on that thought, right? And so they wrote you a handwritten note, and then you get this handwritten note, and you love it, right? You've gotten 2 handwritten notes this year. How many of them did you throw away?
I didn't.
Yeah. How long do you keep them?
I have a file.
Yeah. So are you telling me that you keep them forever?
Yeah. Well, and then yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? What marketing piece in the history of mankind have people kept forever? Handwritten notes.
Handwritten notes.
You know what? Okay, so something people talk about a lot with marketing is shelf life, right?
Yeah.
So infinite is a really long shelf life, right? A lifetime is a really long shelf life. I mean, most of the people I talk to keep handwritten notes that they've received I keep them all. Now, when I say all, I mean 99%. I've gotten handwritten notes that were on logoed paper, and then it said thank you, and then I open it up and it says thank you, and it didn't have a name on it, right? It was just from a company, and it was like, okay, trash, right? I mean, it's just like, that's nice. And then there's been handwritten notes where I open it and like 5 business cards fall out, right? And I just throw those away too. So handwritten notes are very powerful. And in my opinion, it's the most powerful form of asynchronous communication. It is a great follow-up tool, right? You build a relationship, you have a conversation, and you follow up with a handwritten note, right? Yeah. And they get it 3 days later. You had a great conversation with them, right? You built the relationship. The handwritten note is like, how do you go from a 7 or 8 to a 10, right? And when you write a handwritten note, you go to a 10. And I have to tell you, a 10 is where everything happens. A 10 is where referrals happen. So it's like, that's where you want to be. How do you go from a 0 to a 10 in a week, right? It's you meet with someone, you make it all about them, and then you follow up with a handwritten note, and you're going to have the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be super impressed.
I think if I think about like the handwritten notes, a lot of times handwritten notes seem to be like people going through the motions. And maybe that's not fair, but I think like it's been taught enough now in the last decade that people are like, well, I got to do my notes. And so they do the thing where like the card says, thank you. They write, thank you. And there's not a lot of thought, but the ones that mean the most to me are the ones where I feel like people see me, they've seen me, and they're writing about what they've seen about me. And that is rare, and it stays with me. Yeah.
Well, that's why we came up with the 7 steps to a power note, right? So if you're going to have a handwritten note, you might as well have like the ultimate note, right? And you got to realize I've probably, I know times when I've written 1,000 notes in a day, Chris.
Wow.
And I have witnesses to that, right? So one example is when the book launched, one of the places I did that was at Gary Keller's mega camp in Austin, Texas, in August of 2012, right? Yeah. So it had just come out. Wow. So he said, you'd have to be an idiot not to get this book. Well, so there were 10,000 people in the audience. Yeah. So, we sold 3,000 or 4,000 books that week, right? At the mega camp. So Brad Korn, one of my best friends, we had driven down there because you got to put the book somewhere, right? So we've had the books in a Suburban, and then Sierra Grind, who was on our team, and Sherry drove all the way from Kansas City to Austin, Texas, which is 11 hours in a van, right, full of boxes of books to deliver down, because we sold out so fast that they had to replenish. They drove in one day, right? I mean, I have such a great wife, and Sierra is such a great person. She's in the Lake of the Ozarks area. So if you have referrals for that area, she's a real estate agent in the Lake of the Ozarks, Sierra Grind, and she's part of the Grind team with her mom. And it's just like, so what's interesting is, so we had to drive back, right? So Brad's driving, and I'm writing handwritten notes to everybody. And I was writing them very personal, and because it's like, it was fresh in my mind. So what's funny is I still remember some people who were part of that, who purchased at that event, even to today. Right. Wow. So and one of the reasons for that is because I wrote a handwritten note the next day, as we're driving from Texas to Kansas City. Wow. So the 7 steps to a power note, real quickly, is it's a culmination of all these direct response marketing, direct mail, advertising, like a conglomeration of awesome tools to build a relationship, right? So number one on the 7 steps to a power note, number one is to use unbranded notes and colored envelopes, right? So use unbranded notes. So don't, if you're with First American Title, don't use First American Title.
Got it. Right.
Cards. You want to use unbranded cards and use colored envelopes. And then number 2 is you want to use blue ink, right? Blue ink. It instantly says real, authentic, genuine. Too many people use black ink, and if you use purple or pink, it's just a little bit too far out there. Yeah. But blue ink is very, very powerful. Of course, you're not going to use red ink. Yeah. And blue is also the favorite color of the most amount of people in the world. So use blue ink. You want to avoid the word my or me or I, and you want to focus on the word you, right? This note is about them, not yourself. So, but it's so funny is sometimes I'll open up a handwritten note and it says I, and it's like there's not enough space between the I's. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then you brought it up is sometimes you get a note that just doesn't mean very much. Right. And then the next one is be specific with your praise, right? Be specific. Yeah. Like, what is it you're thanking them about, or what do you really appreciate about them? And acknowledge that, right? Yeah. So put it in your note and make it the heart of your note. And really focus on like you said, somebody who really sees you, somebody who really gets you and gets the spark inside of you. And that's something I try to do in my handwritten notes, and I teach that. The next thing is the power of positive projection. And this is where we take a handwritten note and we make it a self-improvement device. Yes, that's right. We can actually become better people by writing handwritten notes. And the way we do that is we need to find a trait in others that we want to develop in ourselves. And I am actually a product of the power of positive projection. So I was very disorganized when I got into this business. I was churning and burning. And I mean, there would be times when, I hate to admit this, but we'd be at closing and I'm having the people sign like 3 or 4 sheets. Yeah, that should have been signed during the offer, right? So it's like at the last second, I'm figuring out a piece of paper just so I can fill out, get the whole contract together, so I don't get fined when the audit comes, right? Right. Yeah. And so it's one of those where I was very disorganized, and there was one time I didn't get paid on a file because I didn't get the paper signed before closing, and it was really hard to get that signed, as you can imagine, and it was very hard to save face. To get it signed. It's like, okay, I thought we bought our house a week ago. Why are you trying to get so it cost me some quality of service and some reputation maybe, right? Yeah. But it's one of those where so I knew I needed to get organized. So I had heard that if you write these, write what you want to improve, then you will improve. And so what I started to do is I would start to notice people who were really organized, right? So there were people in my office, agents, and the person who did the audits, right? She was super organized. And then my transaction coordinator was super organized. So I started writing them handwritten notes. And anytime I met with someone, I noticed how they organized what they were doing, right? And some people weren't organized and didn't organize, but a lot of people I met were organized. So I started to acknowledge, and the thing that I wrote in there was about their organizational skill. Well, here's what's funny is now people call me OCD. I mean, because there is a place for everything. Like my son plays baseball. And so we actually sat down and went and did a bag order system, right? So he puts his catcher's mitt in his bag. He puts his helmet. He puts his right batting glove in the helmet. He puts his glove, regular fielding glove, and then he puts his left-handed glove inside his fielding glove. He puts all that in his helmet, and then he puts that on top of his catcher's mitt, right? And then the sunglasses go in a thing that go in the front package, and then his bats go where they go. And so he doesn't miss anything, right? When after baseball, he's like, shoot, bats in. He puts his catcher's mitt in, grabs his helmet, puts his batting gloves in, his glove in, puts it in there, zips up, throws his sunglasses in the front, and we are out of there, right? And because he has a system, it takes him far less, and he doesn't forget anything. Well, and that's what I do with everything. I mean, you can look around my office, it's a bunch of whiteboards with, bullet items. So, and how did I become so organized? I wasn't organized. I became organized. It was from writing handwritten notes to people who were organizing, noticing. And if I just noticed, it would have probably made me better. Yeah. But I noticed and acknowledged, and I wrote. And when you write, physically write, you are not just writing on paper, you're also writing in your brain, right? According to neuroscientists, you're the best way to remember something is to write it down. Yeah. Right.
I love that. I love the power of positive projection.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last two, right? So the 7 steps to a power note. The next one is write rightly. And write rightly is when you write your handwritten notes, you want the writing to slope up and to your right, right? Not the angle of the letters. Who cares about that? But the writing is going to go up and to the right. And this is from a book by Vamela Rogers called Your Handwriting Can Change Your Life. You don't necessarily need to read it because I'm now summarizing the entire book in 2 or 3 sentences. But the biggest thing from that book I got was that successful people are optimistic, and successful and optimistic people tend to, without even thinking about it, write up and to the right. So the way that I manage that, right? And I don't think, in the beginning, I wrote straight across because I had a pretty strict teacher in high school who, the only thing I didn't do was actually write the lines, but what I did is now the way I manage that is I write their name in the upper left-hand corner of the note, and then I start the sentence right below it, and I aim for the upper right-hand corner, right? So notice that by doing that, I have this slight flow up and to the right of my writing, of the lines. And it makes a lot of sense, from studying what she studied, is that, how do you want your sales to look, right? Up and to the right, Nice. Logos, right? Yeah. Logos. If you look at most logos, they either flow forward or flow up and to the right, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those where, and I don't knock it, right? I don't knock it. And what's interesting is, so when somebody writes me a handwritten note, I kind of look at them. I kind of look at them as, are they straight across? Do they kind of go like and then down, or are they up and to the right? And it's just amazing that a lot of the successful people I know, I don't know if they're following the 7 steps to a power note or if it's just natural, but they're handwritten. Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett wrote a handwritten note. It goes up and to the right, right? Wow. So it's like there's something to it. I'm not going to knock it. I'm just going to write. I don't care how I flow my words. So I'm going to write it like that because I want to come across as optimistic, positive, and growth oriented, right? And then the 7 steps to a power note is the power or the plus of the PS. Have a PS, right? And the secret ninja strategy, write your PS first and make it a call to action. Ask the person to reach out to you, or ask the person to call you, or ask the person to, hey, had an idea, give me a call, and then put your phone number in there. Or, hey, give me a shout when you got this. I want to make sure my mail's going through, right? Yeah. Some type of PS that gets them on the phone so that you can continue. Don't let the handwritten note just kind of stop the relationship. And that's what happens sometimes. And what happened to me is I would meet somebody networking, and then, it would go great. And then I'd write the handwritten note, and they got it. I know they did. And they said, great. And then what? Right. And then the relationship wanes. And that's the exact time that we don't want the relationship to wane. We want it to soar. That's referral moment. Right. So it's like the next thing is get them on the phone, get in front of them, invite them to an event, take that relationship to the next level. So
it's like the note created momentum. If you added that. If you didn't, then it just kind of was a moment in time and it's here and it's gone. But
that's right.
That's good. Ooh, that's good. This is like bonus material right here in episode 4.
Always. That's all. That's all we do, right? Just boom.
Value on value. So good. That is amazing. So 7 steps to the handwritten note. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
So, all right. So last 3 levels are phone calls, events and seminars, and one-on-one meetings, right? So pretty self-explanatory, right? Phone calls, events, and parties and seminars, group activities, one-to-many, right? And then one-on-one, right? Yep. And we call that the influential zone. Listen, if you're going to sell, if you're going to convince, if you're going to influence, you got to do it with phone calls, at an event, or at a one-on-one meeting. That's why when somebody's looking to sell you something, it's usually done one-on-one, right? You do it in a consultation. You do it in a meeting. You do it, one-on-one. One-on-one could mean 2-on-2 if there's 2 salespeople and 2, a couple, right? And people in one-on-one meetings at the top, because it's so powerful, like people will disclose to you in a one-on-one meeting something that they would not disclose if there was just one more person in that room, right? I mean, I've had people tell me about divorces that are coming down the road, right? I've had people tell me about bankruptcies. I've had people tell me about foreclosures. I've had people tell me about things in a one-on-one that literally, if we had done this one-on-two, another friend had been there. Totally different conversation, far less relationship building, right? So, phone calls, great use of your time, very powerful. You can sit here, make a call, hang up, sit here, make a call, hang up. And in 5 minutes, we're doing a lot for the relationship, right? And then events, Referco at its basic, we are probably an events company. If you really look at it, we hold events, we host events, we teach events, and we teach companies how to create an event-based business, right? So events are a lifeline, and the power of events is that it is one-to-many, right? So it's the most leverageable, most powerful level of the 7 levels of communication, because it's one-to-many, right? I'm standing there. There's 200 people in the room. I can make an impact with 200 people in an hour or 2 or 3. If I try to do 200 one-on-ones, it's going to take me a year, right? I mean, with everything else going on in life. So those are the top 3 levels, right? Phone calls, events and seminars, and then one-on-one meetings at the top. And that's where, I live my life, is in the influential zone. And our study of the most powerful CEOs, the most powerful CMOs, and we've also studied the biggest mistakes that COOs, CFOs, CEOs, and CMOs have made. And one of the biggest mistakes is they relied too much on the bottom 3 levels, the informational zone. They rely, instead of having a one-on-one with one of their direct reports, they send an email, right? Or they are looking for email updates, when what they really should be doing is a monthly one-on-one or a bi-weekly one-on-one. And in some cases, the newer the employee, a one-on-one, right? I mean, a one-on-one on a weekly basis, to make sure that they're getting it and the communication is open, right?
I think what I love too about this is, and I can easily say this for others, but I'll just put it in my own, I'll throw myself under the bus on this one, which is, there's a lot of stuff that I do in the vision of what I want to build. And I think to some degree, I get it to a certain level and then I go do the next thing without, if you look at the pyramid, I'm actually doing a lot of stuff in the information zone. There's a lot of missed opportunity in the influential zone that just, it's there. Like all the ingredients are there, but it's just not going to the next level with it.
I'll tell you where I see it the most is when somebody fires off an email when they should have got on the phone. Right. I mean, it's just like, there's nothing more frustrating to me than when somebody on my team says, I emailed them and we're like, is it done? And it's like, well, I emailed them and I'm waiting for their reply. And that frustrates me because I know the 7 levels of communication. If you want something done, pick up the dang phone, right? Pick up the phone. If you want somebody to not leave their office and you're going to be there right on time, pick up the phone, right? If you want somebody to be ready for you when you arrive, pick up the phone. I just did this. I was getting a prescription for my son, right? For some sunglasses. even if he had perfect eyes, we had to turn in a prescription for these special sunglasses. They're whatever. They're super sunglasses. And, because that's what we do, right? I mean, it's what we parents as do. My kid really needs super sunglasses, but he does because he plays baseball, right? But anyway, so it's one of those where, so I just called him and I just said, hey, listen, I'm coming by to get this. Can you have it ready for me? Right? So I went in, they literally went like that, and I left. There were 20 people in line, right? So if I hadn't called, and the thing is most people, Chris, they don't even realize how much time they've wasted in life by not picking up the phone, right? Wow. So it's like, call them, let them know you're coming in, you pick it up and you leave, and it's 30 seconds, and instead of 20 minutes waiting in line to say, hey, I need this script, right? So anyway, I mean, and honestly, email and text, I have messed up with this, right? And you send a text message and you hurt some feelings, right? Where you send an email and you send the email and it's like, hey, I need this today, right? And it's like, it's like too direct, right? Right. So I've learned to kind of also be nicer with my email where it's like, hey, how are things today? I need this today. And then it's like, hey, I hope the family's doing great. And, I'm glad to hear your son had a good game this weekend, right. But, it's kind of like the sandwich, right? It's a, the poop sandwich, right? Yeah. If you're going to deliver a poop sandwich, make sure there's plenty of bread, right?
I've never heard it quite like that before.
Hey, it's been great working with you, and you've got so much talent and things like that. You're fired. And I just wanted to let you know that this gives you a chance to go out and be free and really, get with somebody who's going to utilize the talents that you have. Yes. And I just wanted to let you know that.
Lots of bread around that one.
Yeah.
So that's too funny.
Yeah. So that's it, dude. That's the 7 levels of communication. Download the pyramid. Everybody should download this. Print it on some nice, on cardboard stock or paper. Yeah. Frame it. I know a lot of people who have it framed on their desk. Mm-hmm. Frame it, put it up. And let it be a daily reminder to stay in the influential zone. And you know what? When you get ready to type the email, don't hit send. Reach over to the phone, get on the phone, and you know what? The people on the other end are going to appreciate it, and they're going to refer you more because you used a higher level of communication.
Yeah. I know today also we kind of hit it from a high level. If you guys haven't read the book, just go read the book, like 7 Levels of Communication. Yeah. Like it goes in depth on every step on all 7. So go get the book. And if you want the free download, go to referrals, plural, right? Referralspodcast.com. And you guys can download that pyramid. Yep. Michael, thank you for a great episode full of value. Yeah. We got that little detour into value of like the note that was so
7 steps to a power note.
Yeah, I love it. So good. Power of positive projection. I'm going to take that with me. That's one of my takeaways from today. Big time.
Awesome.
Well, I'll catch you in the next episode where we start to talk about the database, the importance of a database.
Oh,
do that right.
Boom, right? I mean, it's like, how do you get any better than what we did today, right? It's
we're about to, right?
Yeah,
I think the database for people is one of the most underestimated places where transactions live, where money lives, and it's just overlooked.
And everybody's like, what's the first step? Right? The first step is what we're going to cover in the next podcast. Yeah, right? It's like that is the first step to lead to the big steps. So
awesome. Good stuff. Michael, thanks for your time today, your wisdom. If you guys want to get the pyramid, go to referralspodcast.com and get it today. See ya.